Today, we're diving into something that affects almost every small business owner, the biggest marketing mistakes that are costing you, customers, and revenue. I'm Melissa with Millennial Money Marketing, and I'm here with April from Intentional Marketing. April and I work with businesses every day, and we see the same costly mistakes over and over, but there's good news. These are totally fixable once you know what to look for. So whether you're struggling with getting found online or not getting enough reviews, or just wondering why your marketing isn't working, we're going to give you some real actionable insights in today's video. April, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So, April, why do you think it's important that we're chatting about the biggest marketing mistakes that small business owners make?
Oftentimes, I see these very fundamental mistakes that happen over and over and over again. And I think if it was just brought to light for many business leaders and founders for them to think about these things, that it would help them so much. They're so fundamental to the core of getting their message out.
Absolutely. And you had sent me a little bit of your notes before we recorded this. And the first thing on there, mistake number one, I should say, is somebody who's marketing to everyone. Why does this drive you nuts, April?
Yes. So, because I'm sure you've heard this before, but if you're marketing to everyone, then you're marketing to no one. And honestly, it gives you very lazy marketing messaging to do this wide over sweeping, we can solve every problem.
Absolutely. And that's so funny because in your example in the notes you sent me, it says a local gym who's targeting everyone. And I actually work with a personal trainer. She's a client of mine and she's my personal trainer. And she's a very sensitive person. And she's like, I want everyone to like me. And I'm like, you can't. You have to just market to who wants to work out with you. Like, not everyone's going to want to work out with you. Not everyone's going to like you. They're not going to like your content. They're not going to like your marketing. And that's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the person that I was thinking of, he had a gym and he really just vibed well with that quote alpha male kind of person. And I was like, then let your vibe match your clients. And that way you guys will enjoy your time together. And it's not that if a woman comes, you won't work with her because you absolutely will, but it's going to be the right kind of woman who vibes with you. So stick with that and don't try to be something you're not.
Exactly. So I think that's totally right. If you're marketing to everyone, you're actually marketing to no one. You need to find out who your ICP is, who is your ideal customer, and market to that person specifically. Also, besides a specific person, I see a lot of businesses, instead of focusing on their local area, which they can totally dominate, they're trying to spread themselves thin and be like, I want to cover the whole state, or no, I want to cover the whole country, when they're really not set up to be a national business. Have you seen that?
I definitely have. And honestly, you can make it part of your journey, right? So start with your local community, you know, start with your city, and then you can grow. And again, you don't have to turn business away. If somebody finds you who lives two towns over, great. That'll help be a part of your growth journey. And you can talk about how you made it into that community. But I would absolutely say just pick your sweet spot and make sure you dominate that sweet spot, and then you get great content and you get testimonials and case studies, and it's super specific, super clear, and future customers can see themselves in the shoes of the person who's working with you.
Yes. So, mistake number two is inconsistent messaging. So,
Yeah.
April, why does this drive you nuts?
Yeah, and I think these two go hand in hand. Marketing to everyone leads to inconsistent marketing, but when you have that wishy-washy kind of messaging, it just sends mixed signals, and your audience is confused and don't know what it is you need them to do and who really is the right fit for your service or product. So being super clear on who you service best is the kindest thing you can do.
Yes, and this one is a hard one. I struggle with this myself. So don't feel bad if you're listening to this and this is you. We've all been there, and that's why we're chatting about it. So, what do you think businesses can do to be better about their inconsistent messaging?
So not only do you want to talk about who your ideal perfect customer is, but you also want to sit down and think about the personality of your brand. What is your tone of voice? How do you want to come across? What kind of visuals do you want? And then just make it consistent in all of the communication that you have. And that will not only help your customers, it'll help build your brand, and it will begin to start building trust. People know what they can expect from you. They know that they can get this level of service from you, and that is the beginning of trust building.
Great advice, April. So, the next mistake that business owners make when marketing is features over benefits. So, why is this harmful?
So this one really gets me, and I find it so much in SaaS products. Um, and really, it comes down to the fact that nobody wakes up craving your proprietary platform, right? They really don't care how the soup is made. They want to know what the results are going to be. How is this going to benefit me? What will my future state be like if I use your service? Instead of talking about all the tiny bells and whistles that I know a founder really cares about because they spent months, days, hours, weeks, years building this platform, and it's super important for them. And in the end, it is important to the customer, but they don't need to know about it, especially in the beginning of the engagement. They just need to know, here's your problem, here's how we solve it, right? And then later on, if you get a really litigious buyer, then they can talk about, this is the feature and this is the CRM we use and it has all of these different data points. And you know, some people want to get into that, but especially in the beginning of your messaging and your marketing messages, really you just want to focus on the benefit and how that future state is going to be like, how you're going to relieve their pain points.
Totally. I actually went to a networking event recently, and a gentleman, he was very nice. He gave me his business card, and it said something like AI software solutions. And I'm like, do businesses want AI software solutions? No, I think they want more leads, more revenue, more customers, more sales. So if you sell them what they want, all of those things that you're going to give them, you sell them the results, not the features, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think honestly that AI discussion is going to get even more interesting, right? Because I think the general population is becoming more comfortable with AI, so it's not so much of a stigma. So people really, they're not going to be that interested, and some people are just going to assume that's what's happening anyways, right? So what they really want to know is, what's that problem you're solving and how you're going to make my life better.
Exactly. So awesome. I'm just curious to know, sidebar, do you use any AI in your business? What's your stance on that? Because I feel like it's very polarizing.
Oh yeah, I love AI. And I I have this thing where I pin AI against itself. So I'll use like ChatGPT and I'll use DeepSeek. So I'll have maybe DeepSeek write the AI prompt that's going into ChatGPT, and then I have ChatGPT create the product, and I just feel like I get such robust content that way. But honestly, the main thing I use AI is for organization, because you could just total stream of conscious brain dump and then be like, make this into an actionable outline, and it will just totally bring it out. And then you can even start asking questions like, what did I forget?
I love that. I definitely think if utilized correctly, it is an enhancement to anyone's business or even in your personal life. I've been using it to try to count my calories and my macros lately.
Ooh. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to work on my project management. I want to use it to help guide me to where I should be spending my time. Right now, I do that Carnegie thing where you pick your top three priorities for the day, and it works. It's good, um, but sometimes I miss out on some of the things that are happening throughout the day because I'm so hyper focused.
Project management is a big one. And that's another mistake I see business owners make. They agonize over what CRM should I use? And I've tried pretty much all of them, the ones that the Fortune 500 companies use and the ones that are just built for small businesses. And in my opinion, they really all do the same thing. You just have to figure out what specific features you're looking for and at what price point, because they all vary in price point. But I feel like businesses get really in the weeds over that, and it can cause a headache for them. What do you think?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that because I feel like especially some of the smaller businesses, they will feel like, oh, I need to use that really big box item because that's what the other guys use. And it's like, no, you just need the solution that's going to fit your company. And sometimes it's even better to use the smaller tools because they can be customized easier. They have, if you're using something like Salesforce or Hootsuite, like you need somebody who specializes in that to customize it for your needs, right? Like you can't expect to have an entry level employee know how to manage and customize something as robust as Salesforce, right? So instead, you could use something smaller, and sometimes the newer, smaller things, the founders are accessible. My social media platform tool I use, I I can call the founder and say, hey, I need this. This is my request for services. So add this to your roadmap. And he does. I love that. I love having that kind of input. I can't do that to Hootsuite. Like, they're way too big for that.
I love that. Yes, because some of these larger, more well known tools, you can't get that one on one support. And if you're using like a smaller software, like you can like just call someone or hop on a Zoom call and be able to like work through your problem if you have questions. Because a lot of the times it takes months, maybe years to learn some of these tools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they have legitimate certifications. You have to get a degree to learn how to use their software. So, yeah.
Yes, I actually wanted to join a software's affiliate program, and they made me take a test to prove that I was competent before I could be an affiliate.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah,
I guess they definitely are gaining the information on whether you have their best interest at heart.
and it was hardcore. It was a hard test to pass, too. So that was really interesting. And next on our list for mistakes that small businesses make is vanity metrics obsession. I love that you put this on here. April, what are your thoughts on this?
Yes, this one happens often, especially in social media engagements. Um, I feel like people need to remember that you can't deposit likes in the bank, right? And so somebody who might be newer at social media, they're really focused on those likes. How many likes did I have? And so I think those are great for early indicators into your campaigns, but they should just give you like an idea of the direction you're going. Is this right? Does this feel good? It's not what you should consider success, right? So I think setting up the right expectations for the metrics is so, so important and not getting hung up on the ones that people are talking about, right? Especially as social media is evolving. I think the algorithms are even changing to not really honor likes as much as engagements, right? They really want people who are commenting and sharing and watching videos all the way through these are things that are so much more value to the algorithm and then therefore are going to increase your visibility.
Absolutely. And I love that you say you can't take likes to the bank because that is so true. I want to know, how many signups did we get? How many clicks that actually converted? Someone, we got an opt in, we got them to buy something from us, right? Like how much business, revenue, and customers did we actually get from that content? Because I know I made a big mistake. I had a video go viral. I got 18 million views on a video, and guess how much money I made from that video?
I'm guessing it wasn't great.
$0.
Ooh. But everybody wants to make it go viral.
Yeah. And unless you have an intention and a purpose somewhere where you're driving that traffic to, then the views mean nothing. Who cares that you get 18 million views? I've seen content with so much lower views that actually generates revenue, that gets business owners sales. It doesn't matter the amount. So I love that you put that on there because I do feel like vanity metrics is an epidemic.
It absolutely is. And when they say that every business only needs 10 of the right customers, something like that, to completely change their entire program. And I wholeheartedly believe that because that target audience really doesn't need to be large. They just need to be engaged and they need the services that you're offering.
And that goes back to mistake number one, marketing to everyone. And that's why when you have your ideal client, you're marketing to that specific person. And as long as your TAM, for anyone who doesn't know, TAM, total addressable market, is big enough, then it doesn't matter. For example, I know a gentleman who does the same thing that we do, April, but he only works with window installation businesses. So he works with every window installer in the country. So he's not trying to talk to the plumber or the SaaS business because he's only talking to window installation people.
Yeah, and honestly, that can be smart because why would he want to figure out how med spas work? Unless the med spa needs a window, he doesn't need to talk to them.
Yeah. And if he puts out some content, he doesn't get millions of views. He doesn't need the millions of views. He just needs the few window installation companies to view his content and then convert to be a customer.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely something to be said for a niche. So I have my coach tells us that we should have a dream 100. So you make a list of 100 clients that you would like to talk to, and then you learn about them and you talk specifically to them and what their pain points are, and the rest will follow.
That is a pro tip right there. If anyone wants to get started and implement the Dream 100, how can people get started doing that?
Yeah, it's super easy. You basically just think about the top 100 companies that you would want to work with. Like, it would be my dream to work with Green Tea Arizona, and then you can learn about what their pain points are so you can customize your offers to those pain points. Um, and then it also will give you insight on who that ideal perfect customer is because it'll start to shake out. As you go through the path and process, you do narrow it down to who you're focused on. So if you're creating a single piece of content, you're only talking to one person, but they would be in that Dream 100. And then that also just helps to narrow down your focus and give you a really good guideline on where to go, what your priorities are. So, because I mean, honestly, the most important person in any transaction is the audience.
Yes. And that gives you a lot of research, and then you can make informed decisions based on the feedback that you receive. For example, I have a client who is a cleaning business, and she's done both residential and commercial cleaning. But after working with both industries, she realized that, hey, residential cleaning is my bread and butter. I'm going to double down on residential. I don't want to work with anybody who needs commercial cleaning because that's not where I want to take my business. That's not where I want to grow my business. And for me personally, having a marketing agency, my first ever client was a dog breeder. And I realized, no offense to dog breeders, that's totally fine. I love dogs. But digital marketing and like dog breeding, not a good mix. And so that for me was, it kind of discouraged me and it set me back because then I was worried to work with other people in other industries. But then I just realized, like, hey, I'm just not going to take on any more clients like this in the future. So I can succeed. And then also anyone I'm working with can succeed and get good results.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that. And I mean, if it's not fitting with your personality, why force it?
Exactly. So, the next mistake that business owners make when marketing is a weak or missing CTA. CTA stands for call to action. I see this all the time. I see content, videos, text message marketing, email marketing, and you're sending me this long email and then there's no call to action. Okay, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to book a call? Do you want me to go to your website? What are you asking me to do? I don't get it. Why are you wasting your words? April, tell us what we're doing wrong.
Yes, absolutely. You can create the most beautiful content that you could ever imagine, but if you don't let people know what's supposed to happen next, then it's never going to happen. So, if you are not telling people what you want them to do, then you're just leaving money on the table, and it really just leaves people hanging. It's almost like a cliffhanger. So, I always say provide a clear next step. And if you want to take it even a step forward, make it a benefit forward call to action, right? So not just get started now, but in the case of the window washer, window installation, it's and get more clients. Start getting more clients today, right? Those are the kinds of CTAs that are really actionable and tend to resonate more.
Yes. And pro tip, make it easy. Give an easy CTA. Don't be telling people to go to my CRM slash SaaS backslash forward slash 2014. Don't be telling them to do something because they're not going to convert. They're not going to do it. They're not going to go to that crazy long link. Make it easy for people. So whether you have to get some software to send people the link so they could click on, so it could be easy, ask them for their email address so you can get an opt-in and then follow up with them via email, or like even buy like a short 1 word or 2 word domain and redirect them there. Make it easy for people.
Absolutely. Yeah, ETAs come in, or ETAs, CTAs come in all different shapes and sizes, and just really thinking about the user's experience will go a long way.
Yes, and I love that you said that because I actually have noticed Google has been prioritizing user experience. So, for
Mm-hmm.
any business who wants to get found on Google, Google is prioritizing user experience over anything. So, what they're doing is they're noticing if someone comes to your website and they're just like looking around, can't find what they're looking for and they bounce, do you think they're going to show your website to other people who are searching for you? Probably not.
Ooh, that brings up another one for me, and that's Googling yourself. People forget that every interaction with Google is a lesson. So if you Google yourself, oh, there I am, and then you close out, the Google's like, oh, that's not what they were looking for. We won't show that next time. So,
Absolutely. Do some research. We're giving everyone some homework who's listening to this. Google yourself, Google your business, and even do it in like an incognito browser and see what comes up and evaluate that. See, do you like what I'm seeing, or maybe you need some improvement?
like, try to put yourself in the user's shoes.
Absolutely. And then the next mistake, this is number 6, relying on media you don't own. So when I first read this on your list, I was thinking, is this reposting content, people reposting content? Because sometimes I see people who they repost someone else's content, and I'm like, hey, why don't you just recreate it, make it your own, and put it in your own brand voice?
Yeah, for sure. Um, I think repurposing content is a super smart way to create content because we live in this time where content creation could absolutely take over your entire day if you let it. So, what I was trying to envision is that I remember this one time where we were doing some recruitment marketing, and this was before COVID. So, it was right before Google had their Google job board. Not Google, sorry, Facebook had their Facebook job board. And when they launched it overnight, it completely decimated everybody's lead source. So everybody was all of a sudden scrambling because they had put all of their eggs in one basket. And we don't own social media, right? We don't even know if TikTok's going to be around much longer. So relying on those channels um, is just dangerous. And not to say that you shouldn't be there, because you absolutely should. You should be wherever your audience is, right? But you should also work on a plan that brings them into your sphere, right? So whether that's emails or texting or, um, if you have a blog or anything like that, that way you don't have your eggs in one basket and you can spread out the wealth. That way, if Facebook has an algorithm change or TikTok goes away, your business doesn't dry up, right? So you've got something else to work on to keep going.
You're totally right. And I feel like this gets so overlooked by everyone
Mm.
because we don't own our social media accounts. We could
Mm-mm.
get banned, we could get suspended. And also with TikTok, I actually thought that it was going away again. Like, what happened? I never heard anything. They like pushed it out. I'm like, what's going on with TikTok? I can't even keep up.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like I said, you should be wherever your audience is forever, however long. If your audience moves, you need to move too. Um, but at the same time, try to get them into your program. That way, you can continue to nurture, and then also you're speaking to them exclusively, and you're not sharing mind share with other brands completely unrelated or competitive.
So, what you're saying is you think that everyone needs to be building their own list, their own database with emails and phone numbers so they can always contact their audience, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, super, super important. So, the last and final mistake that business owners make when marketing is no tracking or optimization.
Absolutely. I believe that marketing is a continual learning cycle. And so you should always be learning and always be testing. So a lot of times people are like, well, I think it works. That's not a really great strategy, right? That's definitely not going to pay the bills. So we want to make sure that we know what's working, what doesn't work. Um, and also, if you're not measuring it, then you can't improve it, right? So my goal is to always get to a point where any campaign that I'm doing, I can always repeat and rely on that success. And that's how I know I've done a good job, right? And so first step in that is measuring from day one. That way you can set clear KPIs, key performance indicators. You can regularly review them, and then that way you can repeat them, and then you can know, hey, I need to make another sale this month. What do I need to do? I need to send this much communication, send this much ads, have this level of ad spend. Whatever that is, you want to know so that you can strategically plan your growth.
Exactly. Especially in advertising, which is definitely not my area of expertise, but I know just enough to be dangerous. There's formulas to it.
Mhm.
Calculate your ROAS, your return on ad spend. If you know you're going to spend $5,000 on ads, but you're going to make $15,000, are you going to spend that money? I think
Right.
you are. So do your formulas, do the calculations. And it's so funny how you're like, yeah, you can't, if you're not tracking what's working, you don't know. It's kind of just like, I'm going to hope that my content is going to go viral. I want to hope for a viral video. Well, hope is not a business strategy.
Right. Absolutely. Especially with algorithms getting more and more smart. Like, and the fact that we never really know what algorithms are requiring of us. So that's why we have to keep our finger on the pulse. And, Google they are famous for making updates, not telling anyone, and then you won't know that there's been a change if you're not paying attention.
Exactly. So it's also really important to document any changes that you make so you can know, like, hey, I changed this and it either had a positive or a negative impact.
Mhm. And when you're measuring, then you can also have great evidence and case studies and proof of success that you can share with others, especially if you ever need to raise capital.
Oh, yes. I love that you mentioned case studies. I need to see more of that. I need to see more social proof case studies from everybody. And raising capital, that is a big deal for any startup business, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we work with a couple of finance firms, and it's so eye opening to look at how the different disciplines approach very similar information. It never occurred to me until I started working with them that an accountant is going to look at any of your marketing metrics, but they do. And so they want to see what your reach is and what kind of repeatability you have.
Yeah, very, very good point, April. So, okay, is there anything else we should cover? Should we wrap it up?
Um, I don't know. Are there any like off the cuff ones that you can think of? Maybe funny ones?
Oh, funny ones. Um, okay. So I'll throw in a bonus mistake that I see businesses make is being ADD, and I'm kind of guilty of this because I just did a color energy thing, and I'm yellow. I'm yellow energy, which is like very bright and positive, but I can get distracted easily. I can have shiny object syndrome, and so instead of me like doubling down on what I know is working, I see a lot of other businesses do this. They're like, okay, well, I want to like grow on this platform, but that they're like, what do I need to do on Instagram? And I'm like, focus on one, pick one, like don't do both at the same time, like focus on one.
Absolutely. Yeah, having that brand voice and knowing what your brand personality is, that will help keep you focused for sure. Oh, I thought of one. We were talking about user experience, and one that comes up a lot is unfortunately, you are not your target audience. As soon as you went into business for this particular service or product, you are no longer the target audience. So it no longer matters what you prefer, it matters what your audience prefers.
Ooh, this is a hard truth to hear, April.
It is, it really is, because, business leaders put their heart and soul into these things and they really care about them. And that's so, so important. But what the customer wants and what the customer needs is the driving force because they're the ones that are paying the bill.
Totally. And that kind of goes back to the last mistake, no tracking or optimization. Do keyword research, do market research. If
Mm-hmm.
you have an idea, validate that idea and see if that's a good idea, because you might think that you have $1 million idea, but if nobody cares about that idea, there's no demand for that idea, then I don't think your idea is going to go anywhere. And it's kind of a hard truth to hear.
Yeah, yeah. Doing audience education is such an uphill battle. You definitely want to start with something that people actually need and want, and then, I mean, a task battle right there.
Yeah, I actually had a client who he was trying to sell like a very niche product. And I had to break the news to him, like, I'm sorry, like, there's no demand for this. Like, no one is searching for this. I don't think that anyone is going to buy this product. So, is it worth all of the time and money you're going to invest in manufacturing and marketing this product? Probably not.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, like, we have so many listening tools now that it's easy to run tests before you go too far down the rabbit hole.
Absolutely. Yes. Do your research, do your due diligence, see if there's demand for whatever direction you're wanting to go in.
Thank you so much to Melissa for having us today, and hopefully, you guys found some insights in our business mistakes and you can avoid these in your marketing endeavors in the future.
If you like this type of content and you want to hear more from us, leave a comment.
There you go.
And we if you have any specific questions, we'll make sure to answer that next time we get together and chat.